Well, good afternoon, everybody. This is Jerry Van Dalen with Smarter Commerce. A big thank you for joining us on our webinar today entitled Automating Payments for Better Security, Collections, and Customer Experience. Excited about what we've got for the whole team today. Just as a reminder, a couple of things to go through, just as housekeeping items. Number one, we're asking that all participants keep themselves on mute for the duration of the session. Number two, you guys are welcome to chat us any questions that you might have related to what we're sharing on the screen. You can chat me directly, Jerry Van Dalen, or you can chat Fermin Rodriguez, who's also joining us. He is a managing director here at Smarter Commerce. So with that said, I'll go ahead and get us kicked off on what our agenda looks like, and we'll dive in. Excellent. So we'll spend a few minutes covering a quick profile overview of who exactly Smarter Commerce is. From there, we'll transition over to a more particular discussion of Smarter Commerce payments as a solution and just providing a conceptual overview of that solution. And then from there, we'll transition over to the payments demonstration portion of the agenda. So with that said, I'll go ahead and transition now and kind of jump into discussing who we are as an organization. Again, for those that joined us here in the last couple of seconds, if you do have any questions, feel free to chat myself, Jerry Van Dalen, directly, or chat Fermin Rodriguez directly, and we'll make sure to be answering your Q&As throughout the session. So just as a quick overview, if we're asking the question, who is Smarter Commerce as an organization? Been in the JD AdWords space for close to 30 years at this point, completed hundreds of projects, whether that's related to our Smarter Commerce product family or just JD AdWords projects in particular. In the JD AdWords space, again, we've operated for all of those 28 years. We have implemented, sold, conducted detailed projects in the JD AdWords space for all 28 of those years. As an organization, we're based in South Florida, but we've got professionals working across the U.S. remotely, as well as an office of developers in San Jose, Costa Rica. And really for over 20 years, since the early 2000s, what Smarter Commerce has focused on is helping JD AdWords companies launch successful projects, primarily through uniting their commerce, credit card operations, and their ERP, meaning JD AdWords, into one simple and automated system. That's really at the heart of what Smarter Commerce does. Additionally, one of the challenges that we came to realize that was very common as organizations began working through this opportunity was that a lot of tech and business leaders began to encounter a challenge when it came to the element of lacking connection, right? And when we talk about lack of connection, we're talking about a lack of connectivity between JD AdWords and your other payment processing applications. What this led to was a whole lot of IT leaders, a lot of finance leaders, accounting leaders being frustrated because their credit card process was very disjointed, resulting in a lot of manual processes. And additionally, they knew that they had to find a better solution, but the marketplace maybe didn't have a solution that was JD AdWords integrated. And so they ended up feeling overwhelmed by that project. And so obviously that's really what led to the inception of Smarter Commerce. And for 20 years, Smarter Commerce has been driven by the ethos of, as a business, believing that companies like your own, JD AdWords organizations, deserve fully connected payment platforms that enable you to conquer the complexity of processing payments in today's landscape and enable your team to be able to focus on growing your business instead of managing the complexity. So just want to share a few quick customers with the audience today. Two things to point out here. Number one, all of these organizations are JD AdWords companies. You'll see a mix of B2B and B2C brands, as well as different industries and sized organizations represented. And the second thing that all of these organizations have in common is that they all found themselves at one point frustrated by a manual process for credit card transactions. They were given the responsibility of going out into the marketplace and finding a solution that met all of the high expectations that their team had. And after partnering with Smarter Commerce, they were able to successfully automate their payment operations and drive significant savings to their organization. So if I'm going to provide an overview of smarter commerce payments as from a conceptual standpoint, especially in the three areas of security, customer experience, and invoice payments, as we've mentioned earlier in the actual webinar, let's just go ahead and dive into that now. If you ask the question, what is smarter commerce? We've talked about who we are as an organization, but smarter commerce is also a family of solutions that enable JD Edwards companies to unite their commerce, payments, and retail systems into one simple automated system that, again, connects with JD Edwards. So obviously what you see on the screen is 5 different product pillars. We've got a point of sale solution for JD Edwards customers with retail requirements, a sales tax connector to the Avalara Avatax sales tax compliance platform. We also have a digital commerce, a B2B and B2C e-commerce platform with real-time integration to JD Edwards, as well as a call center management solution. But today our focus is going to be pretty much exclusively on our payment processing application. Now, in summary, Smarter Commerce Payments, or you might hear us refer to it as Smarter Commerce Credit Card, is a JD Edwards native application that allows customer service representatives to complete a sales order using a credit card authorization, whether that's with a new credit card or a credit card on file. Smarter Commerce Payments also allows for account receivable people or personnel to complete an invoice payment using a credit card on file or a brand new credit card. In essence, that's what Smarter Commerce Payments does. And over the years, our customers have been able to realize very powerful benefits in a number of different areas. And those are the areas that we're going to be focusing in on today. Those areas are the areas of security, automating invoice payments or facilitating invoice payments, and then lastly, an improved customer experience. So on the security, from a security standpoint, Smarter Commerce has been built from the ground up to help organizations manage PCI compliance. Now, if you're not familiar with the term PCI compliance, PCI essentially stands, or it does stand for the term payment card industry. And these PCI compliances are essentially a series of regulations that guide organizations in terms of how to manage credit card information. The challenge is that many of these PCI compliant rules, or a lot of this PCI, can get very convoluted and complex, especially when an organization doesn't really have an application that helps simplify that PCI compliance. Smarter Commerce steps in, and from the ground up, as mentioned, we've been architected to help organizations simplify their PCI compliance. We do this through a variety of means. We use a technology called a hosted payment page to allow customers to actually type in information, or your customer service rep to type in information, not within your network or even within the Smarter Commerce network, but directly to the payment gateway. Smarter Commerce also tokenizes all sensitive cardholder information. Instead of storing that information within JD Edwards, what you store inside of JD Edwards is a token. It's not the actual data itself. That sensitive cardholder information is stored at the payment gateway. And in addition to that, Smarter Commerce also has an offering called the Smarter Commerce Cloud that provides all the necessary hardware to run the Smarter Commerce application. So companies that are looking to automate credit card processing will go out into the marketplace, and most solutions nowadays place a high emphasis on simplifying security, and certainly Smarter Commerce has been built to those standards. The second benefit that a lot of our customers realize when using Smarter Commerce or when using a JD Edwards connected credit card application is around collections. Now, when we say collections, we're obviously talking about an order that has already been placed, perhaps on credit terms, and the customer is calling in to make a payment and would like to pay the open invoice over the phone. In this instance, Smarter Commerce, again, is the same native JD Edwards user experience. Your account receivable personnel begins interacting with the customer, and they can pay an open invoice using an actual credit card, an on-file credit card or a brand new credit card. Additionally, Smarter Commerce allows customers to pay with ACH. Hopefully everyone on the call today is aware that merchant fees apply every time that you're making a payment with a credit card. And if your organization is incurring those merchant fees, that can really cut down in terms of the bottom line that your organization is saving or the revenue that's being recognized, if you will, from that invoice payment. And so a lot of organizations are encouraging customers to pay with ACH payments, meaning a bank-to-bank transaction, because the merchant fees are a lot less with an ACH transaction versus a credit card. So really the key here is that you have multiple tools to pay an invoice with when a customer makes that phone call. Additionally, Smarter Commerce has what we call invoice pay by email functionality, which essentially is a JD Edwards automated email that is sent out to your customers on a regular basis, reminding them that they've got invoices due, perhaps due in the next 30, 60, or 90 days. You can determine that range, if you will. But customers receive this email, see the amount of invoices they have due. They can click on an invoice payment link, which takes them to a Smarter Commerce provided page where they complete invoice payment using a credit card or an ACH transaction, whatever they prefer. Additionally, if you want to provide your customer an actual portal, Smarter Commerce also has what we call Smarter Commerce e-commerce, or rather e-payments, which is an electronic invoice presentment and payment portal. Customers can log in with credentials and browse the different invoices that they have due, make full or partial payment on those invoices using a credit card, ACH. They can even set auto pay capabilities in place if they want to schedule a future payment or schedule payments to be recurring, for example. On the actual e-payments portal, customers can also view invoices, download a copy of the invoice. They can look at their order history and take care of different account level information. You know, the key here is that Smarter Commerce enables your AR department with a lot of different tools to facilitate that collections effort. We're not saying that one size fits all. We understand that your organization is unique and there's different elements that play into how you choose to collect payment on open invoices. But Smarter Commerce as a solution has a whole different range of tools that help you deliver a superior customer experience when you are collecting on those open invoices. So we've talked about security and how Smarter Commerce has helped JD Edwards organizations like your own improve payment security. We've talked about improving collection operations through Smarter Commerce. And the last item that I want to mention here is probably one of the most important, if not the most important, that we've covered today. And that's how Smarter Commerce can help your organization improve the customer experience. And this happens through a variety of ways. Some of it is through the capabilities that we have already discussed today. It's no secret that in the payment industry, security and compliance is of absolute importance. And all of us on this call have probably seen the headlines of large organizations, unfortunately, experiencing some kind of a data leak or a data breach. The first way that you can improve your customer experience is by making sure that you're handling your customers' payment information in a way that is compliant and in a way that builds trust. We never want to be in a situation where you're going to have to email your customers letting them know that there's been a breach or that fraud has been detected. That obviously results in a very, very negative customer experience. It breaches the trust that you may have with your customer. And so making sure that you're PCI compliant, making sure that you're utilizing a tool that improves your PCI compliance and simplifies it is one of the very basic and surefire ways of improving your customer experience. Additionally, probably the second point there is just about making it easy for customers to make payments. Probably most of us on this webinar today are very familiar with paying credit card bills or paying utility bills over the phone, online through a portal. What we appreciate is the flexibility to make a payment on a due invoice, whatever way is most comfortable to us. Whatever is a better experience for us is how we'd like to make a payment, whether that's picking up a phone or logging into a portal or even doing it over text. The goal here is to make it easy for your customers to make those payments and even providing the opportunity for them to schedule payments into the future. Having a broad range of flexibility when it comes to customer payments is a key driver of a positive customer experience. Additionally, most of your customers, even in their personal lives, are very familiar with digital channels in terms of collecting payments and making credit card payments through digital channels. Unfortunately, a lot of B2B organizations, when it comes to payments, are still using channels that are very old or antiquated, meaning it's mostly over phone, perhaps it's over fax, or it's mailing a check. And if that's the customer's preference, there's nothing wrong with that. But the reality is that most customers today in their personal lives are very familiar with digital payment channels, whether that's paying over an invoice authorization, or going onto an actual portal and completing a transaction that way, or completing an invoice payment that way. It's just a familiar process for them. And so by providing an application that enables that kind of an experience for your customer, you're improving their experience every time that they make a payment with your organization. And then the last point there, before we kind of transition over to the demo portion of our agenda, is really related to helping customers manage their own accounts. Everybody on this call, I'm willing to bet money, is familiar with what it takes to have an online banking relationship with our bank. Probably all of our smartphones have applications that are related to the payment industry, whether it's something like a Venmo or a Cash App or the banking application on your phone. We know what it's like to manage our own payment details, to manage our own account. We prefer to do it that way instead of picking up the phone or writing an email. So when you enable your customers to manage their own payment details, to manage their own account through an online portal, you're also improving that customer experience. Customer doesn't have to wait till 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday to update that information, maybe place a phone call and wait on the phone for 10 or 15 minutes. They can just log into the portal and make the necessary changes themselves. So one of the most powerful improvements that we've seen customers realize through the use of Smarter Commerce has been improving the experience for their own customers through the use of the different solutions and capabilities within Smarter Commerce. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and transition now to the actual demonstration portion of our agenda. I'll make a quick reminder here. If you do have any questions or comments that you'd love to get addressed, go ahead and chat myself or chat for me directly. That way, we'll make sure to get your questions addressed about anything that you see or hear in the demo portion of our agenda. What you're going to be seeing is Diego Fernandez, product manager, working in a demonstration environment for JD Edwards Enterprise One, probably a fairly familiar screen and view for most of the people on the webinar. And he's going to be using the Smarter Commerce payment application to complete a variety of scenarios that relate to simplifying security, improving customer experience, and improving the invoice payment or collections process. So with that said, Diego, I'll go ahead and mute myself. I'll stop sharing my screen, and then you'll be free to share your screen and get started.
All right, Jerry, thank you very much. I've gone ahead and shared my screen. You should be seeing a JD Edwards order to cash process menu screen. Jerry, could you confirm that I'm displaying?
Yes. Yeah, I'm confirming that, Diego. Looks good.
Thank you very much. All right, for this first example, as part of our demonstration, I'm going to walk through an order to cash process where I will be entering a sales order for a customer that I have on the telephone. I'm going to be representing a company. I'm their salesperson that received the call from my customer, and they'd like to place an order, and they would like to pay for this order with a credit card. And then I'll walk through the process from beginning to end, entering the order, capturing the credit card information, and authorizing funds on the credit card so that later during the process, once we've shipped the product, I can go ahead and do what's called the settlement of funds, which is where we will get paid the monies for the order that we've actually shipped, plus any possible freight or sales tax included on that sales order. And then I'll walk through the rest of the remaining process from invoice print to sales update. And then we'll do something that's called the payment posting of credit card payments. And this will take those settlements that we just did and apply them automatically, clearing the AR invoices and helping us to then reconcile those monies when we receive a wire transfer from our merchant bank. So let's walk through this process from beginning to end, utilizing the JD Edwards sales order entry application. This is the standard JD Edwards sales order entry application. I'll go ahead and enter a customer number here. I'll enter a PO number provided by the customer. And then once I've entered all of the information, I'll go ahead and click on save and continue. And this will drive me through the process of entering in, obviously, the products that that customer is desiring to purchase, the one or many products. Once I've completed the entire order entry process and I know all of the products that that customer is desiring to pay, then typically you're going to either click on submit and enter new or submit and close, either of which will drive your salesperson or customer service person that's assisting the customer on the telephone to an application provided by Smarter Commerce. And is this application that allows me to go out and authorize funds on a credit card. On this application, we notice some information related to the order on the right-hand side, the order number, along with order totals as to the amount to be authorized. This is all coming from the sales order that we just entered, including any sales tax calculations, any freight calculations, if you're using JD Edwards freight management or transportation management. And if you're not using JD Edwards freight management or transportation management, we have some capabilities to help you to authorize additional funds during the order entry process to then settle them later when you have the actual freight that you may be charging your customer. And we can get into more details of that later on as we move along through the demonstration. Over on the left, you see an address. This is capabilities allowing us as a credit card provider to verify the address associated to the credit card that that customer is using. So we can do things like address verification services. We can do things like credit card security code services, validating that 3 or 4 digit code that's found on the credit card. Now, we have multiple ways of authorizing funds on a credit card. If the customer has a credit card on file with you, meaning that they've entered a credit card in the past and they've wanted to save that credit card for future use and it's now been tokenized, remember that all credit card information that we enter is always entered via the portal and then tokenized, and what's stored within your JD Edwards is a unique token that is associated to that specific credit card. Or we can do an authorization by message, and we'll see this example in just a moment as I will enter in a second order, but basically this allows me to email the customer, and the customer then can enter the credit card information themselves into the payment portal. That way they don't have to read off their card information over the telephone. But if your organization allows your customer service personnel or your sales personnel to hear the credit card information and type it into the payment portal, then you would use this option, authorize with a new credit card. When I take this option, it will go ahead and move the salesperson or the customer service person over to the payment portal. This payment portal is a hosted payment portal outside of your network. This is hosted by us and by our payment gateway provider. And it's here where your salesperson or customer service person would enter the information provided by your customer over the phone, their name on card, their credit card number that they're providing. Here I'm entering a sample MasterCard credit card number, the expiration date, month and year, and the card security code, or the CVV2 code. Once I've entered all of the valid information, I, as a salesperson, would go ahead and click apply, which will validate the credit card information and authorize funds on that credit card. Keyword here being authorized. We're not charging the credit card yet. We're just reserving or authorizing funds that will later be settled and captured during the settlement process. Once I've authorized funds on the credit card, I can now return to JD Edwards, but I need to pull back a token associated to that authorization. Remember that when I clicked authorize with a new card, it moved me out of your JD Edwards system. It established a one-time connection between my user and the payment portal. And now I will click update info to, again, through that connection, retrieve the related authorization token. That way, no credit card information is ever entered through your JD Edwards, reducing your credit card industry compliance validation for the credit card process, and only storing the minimum necessary information, such as the token within your JD Edwards, obviously the amount authorized, and the last 4 digits of the credit card used, which is allowed per PCI compliance to store for reference purposes. So at this point, we have a valid authorization on the books, and I can go ahead and save and complete my order. So in this example, I had the customer on the phone. I was able to capture the order and easily go over to a credit card application that is provided by us to then allow your salesperson or customer service person to move over to the payment portal and type in the credit card and authorize funds while I have that customer on the phone. But I want to show you a second example using the same customer we just entered an order for. But in this example, the customer desires to enter the credit card information themselves. So we're going to use a capability that we have as part of our solution that is called Authorized by Message. This allows you to send an email or text message to their cell phone or to their email system, where the user can authorize funds and enter the credit card information themselves into the payment portal. So to do that, again, we've reviewed all of the credit card information here. You may have noticed earlier, but I didn't highlight it, is that we also have capabilities around credit card surcharges. Based on the different states that are out there, we have a table that you can configure that whether or not you're allowed to charge a surcharge on a credit card, depending on the entity that you're working with, or in the state that you're working in, you can charge a surcharge and a uplift to the authorization and settlement process. Again, this is an optional capability you can turn on or off, along with many of the other features that we have within this solution. So what am I going to do here? The customer, again, I have them on the phone. I've entered in their products, but this time they desire to enter the credit card information themselves. They don't want to provide that credit card information over the phone. So to do that, I'll go ahead and use this capability called Authorized by Email, which will drive me to the who's who contacts that are established within the address book who's who of this customer, where we can see all of the emails that I have already collected. If I need to collect another one or enter a new one, I can enter it by typing it in directly on this line. But if I'm fine their who's who contact and email here in the list, I can go ahead and select their email, which then brings it down. I could enter more by separating them with a semicolon if you want to email or message more than one person. Once I have entered that information in, I go ahead and save that to my order and complete my order. At this point in time, the salesperson or customer service person that is entering this order has completed their job, and they can go ahead and disconnect with the customer and move on to the next customer. But you may notice here the order we just entered, order 8265, gets placed on a hold code. This hold code is established by your organization and it can be any hold code that you want, following standard JD Edwards hold code functionality. And it's basically a hold code that represents waiting on customer to enter their credit card information. So the order sits here while the customer receives the email, and the email will look something like this. It is branded to your specifications, your logo, your verbiage, your colors and scheme, your footer. All of this would be branded so that it matches your organization, but it basically lets the customer know that they have an order that they just placed and it's waiting for authorization of funds of $516.10. The customer receives this email or receives a text message on their phone or in their email box, and they click on the Pay Now button, which drives the customer to the payment portal. This payment portal, again, will be branded with your organization's logo and colors and font scheme so that your customer has confidence that they're working and are clicking on a link that is available to them and is represented by your organization. They can verify their order information here that, again, they received via email and was provided to them via the telephone. They can see their order totaling here, product and freight, if there was any freight and taxes, and the total amount to be authorized. And then they can also verify all of the products that they've ordered. All of this information, again, coming from JD Edwards, giving your customer confidence in the order that they just placed, making sure that everything is accurate, and also confidence in now I'm ready to make payment. So here the user will go ahead and select their payment of option. We have multiple payments of option. In this example, we'll be using a credit card, and they'll be able to select that. We let them know that if they use a prepaid or debit card, they should follow a special process. But if they're using a standard credit card, they can go ahead and enter in their information, their name on card, their credit card, that number and credit card type that they're using, the expiration date on their credit card, and the card security code. Remember earlier I mentioned about possibly authorizing with a credit card on file or saving the token. This is where the customer themselves can save this payment for future use by a sales representative when entering the order. That way it's tokenized and the token is saved and vaulted for future orders, and they don't have to be entering this process. They can just select the token and vault ID right out of the credit cards on file system. But assuming here that I'm entering it, the customer would then click apply, which validates their card information. And if everything is accurate, it lets them know that it's been verified. And now they can go ahead and click on process payment to process their payment and authorize funds on their credit card. We thank them and let them know that their payment for this order has been submitted, and now the customer is done. They don't need to really do anything else at this point in time. They can go on and work with other business and other activities that they need to complete. In the meantime, the customer also receives a credit card authorization confirmation, letting them know that we've validated and authorized funds on their credit card as a receipt to their order so that they have that information for their own records. So remembering that the order was placed into JD Edwards, but the customer entered the credit card information into the payment portal. The order in JD Edwards, as you can see here, if I refresh my screen, is still in a C2 hold, which is waiting for that customer payment. We now need to retrieve that customer payment from the payment portal. To do that, we have a process that you can execute in your scheduler system or your unattended nightly operations, where we retrieve all authorizations done by email payments or notifications or text message payments with this process. You can schedule this to run every 15 minutes, once an hour, once a day, depending on the volume that you expect customers to be entering in their credit card payments via email or text message. This process executes, and once complete, it retrieves all payments. And if I go ahead and refresh my screen here, we notice that the order automatically came off of hold, and I now have a payment on file, and authorization on file, so that this order can then continue through the process and complete the order successfully. So that's what we're going to do now. We now have two orders in the system, 8264, which we entered, where the customer provided their credit card via the telephone, and I, as the salesperson, entered it in manually myself, or 8265, where I entered the order as a salesperson, but the customer themselves entered their credit card information, and then we retrieved it from the payment portal. What we're going to do now is walk these orders through the following steps. Right now, it's in status 540, which in my environment means pick, slip, print. So we're going to walk through a couple of standard warehouse processes quickly here in order to process this order all the way through to the end. So I'm going to go ahead and enter my order numbers here that we're working with, 8265 and 8264. And we'll go ahead and run the pick, slip, print. We'll give this a moment to execute. And once it completes pick, slip, print, we'll go ahead and do the shipment confirmation process. So let's go ahead and do that now. So if I move over to confirm shipment, I can go ahead and inquire on each of my orders. Here's 8264. And the order is now at status 560, and I can go ahead and ship confirm. Now, remembering that at order entry, I uplifted my authorization for some expected freight to be added in later. And then here I am going to do that using the JD Edwards shipment confirmation application. This is where I'm adding in the actual freight that could come from your transportation system or come from a third-party system, but you're adding in that freight into your order so that we can take that into account when charging the credit card. So here I'm adding in the actual freight for each of these orders, and obviously confirming the orders as shipped. So there was my first order, 8265, and is my second order. And we'll do the same here. And we'll add some freight for this order. So as you can see, this is just a natural process found within your JD Edwards solution. If I re-inquire on my orders that we have in the system here, and I re-inquire, we'll notice that now I have 3 lines on this order, and I have 3 lines on the 8265 order. And now it's at a new status of 569. And status 569 in my environment means that it's ready for capturing of funds or settlement. The settlement process is a UBE that we provide that normally, again, runs in unattended nightly operations or your scheduler. Most customers run it a couple times a day or once a day to process all orders after they've been ship confirmed. They normally run it prior to invoicing, but it's really up to you where you want to run it. This is based on status order entry. So you're based on your order activity rules. It can You can do it right up front, before picking, after picking, or after shipment confirmation, or even after printing of invoices and sales update. It's really up to you where it is that you want to settle the funds on the credit card. In my environment, I've configured it via order activity rules to run after shipment confirmation. So we're going to go ahead and again run it for our 2 orders here. And I'll select my orders, 8264 and 8265. And we'll process the settlement against the credit card. And this is what does the actual charging of the credit card. And this report is a key report that is needed by your accounting folks. It should be a report that your accounting team utilizes. So here, if I go ahead and open up the settlement report, we can see the totals that were charged to each credit card. Here is my 2 orders, 8264 and 8265, the amount of surcharge that was added to the order, and the amount that was actually charged and settled on the credit card. So the total that I should receive from my merchant bank is also listed here. This is based on the settlements we've just done. And then I should receive a wire transfer from my merchant bank totaling this amount. So as you can see, everything is automated and quick and easy to use, following standard JD Edwards processes and steps. So now I'm going to go ahead and do a couple of other standard steps in JD Edwards, the printing of invoices, and we'll run through this quickly here so that we can print the invoices in JD Edwards. And again, for our 2 orders, 8264 and 8265. And we'll go ahead and process the invoices. The idea with our solution here is so that all of your credit card entry is offloaded into the payment portal, and no credit card information from a security standpoint ever is entered into your JD Edwards or ever is processed through your JD Edwards. Everything is tokenized, everything is stored offsite within the payment portal and the hosted payment solution. Once I've generated here invoices, I'm going to go ahead now and run the sales update for the orders we just did in order to create the invoice. Oh, excuse me. Let me go back here a second. Create the invoices in the AR system. Remembering that sales update goes ahead and does all the posting and creates all of the customer ledger information and creates all your journal entry information. So here I'm going through and I'm doing the sales update. If we look at the sales update report here briefly, and we open that, here is my sales update report that we just executed. And we can see here the multiple invoice transactions, and including the capturing or recording within the general ledger of the merchant surcharge fees that we charged on the credit card, so that we have it as a record within our general ledger and within the amount that's been collected from your customer. Following all of the standards of JD Edwards, following the DMAAI capabilities and posting it to the accounts as you desire. So here you can see that nothing deviates from your standard processes within JD Edwards, so that what you're familiar with will continue to work the same way. So here we have our sales update. We've created 2 invoices, 5928 and 5929. And if I move over to the customer ledger increase solution here within accounts receivable, we're going to notice that those invoices have been created and posted into the JD Edwards AR system. And currently, those invoices are in open status. They're in open status because we are yet to execute the last step of the process, which is the payment posting. The payment posting is, again, a UBE that we provide that picks up all of those payments and automatically posts them against your AR system and moves them to a due from merchant bank account so that you can reconcile against that account. This completes the process from end to end. So we fully automate from the beginning where you get that valid authorization all the way through to the end where we now are doing the collections and payment aspect of the solution. So here I'm going to go ahead and post the payments for the orders we just processed, picking up those settlements or captures and automatically applying them against the open AR invoice solution. So the payment posting reports executed. If I go back here to my customer ledger screen and I refresh my screen, we can see that it's now been closed. The amount is cleared out. It's been marked as closed, and I can drill in and see receipts detail information where we know that this invoice was paid with a credit card ending in all fours. Remember, per PCI compliance rules, you are able to store for reference purposes the last 4 digits of the credit card. All of that is handled automatically by our solution so that if your customer ever calls back a week later, a month later, a year later, and wants to know how that was paid for, you can refer them to their last 4 digits of their card. So as you can see, all of this is taken care of for you automatically with our solution, so that all you need to do then is the next morning when you come in is to reconcile your monies. And even there, we've provided a series of automated applications and UBEs or batch reports that pull those payments from your merchant bank and auto reconciles to make sure that you've been paid everything you're due. And in the case you need to do it manually, or you have some miscellaneous differences on something and you need to reconcile it manually, we provide a manual application that allows you to go through and tick and tie those transactions, assuring you that every payment transaction that you've made via the credit card system and every payment that you've settled, you've been paid for through your merchant bank. All right. As you can see here, I've taken an order from beginning to end, where at all times, any credit card information entered or typed in was done through a portal so that nothing flows through your JD Edwards, reducing your PCI compliance validation. And also, we've automated the entire process from order entry all the way through payment posting and reconciliation of those payments. This was an example of an order entry process, but we have so much more within our solution. This is just sort of the tip of the iceberg. We have a lot of other capabilities that we offer as part of our solution, not just in the order entering process, but also in batch processing for automation of authorization through batch processes. And we have a complete accounts receivable collections capability, where we can do things such as invoice receipt payments via a credit card or ACH payment, where a customer calls in and they want to go ahead and pay for a series of invoices via using a credit card. Well, we have capabilities around that so that your customer can, again, once they want to clear off those invoices, either provide an ACH transfer or use a credit card to just get those invoices cleared so that they can free up credit limit and pay off and place more orders with you. So this application allows you to do that. This is part of the solution. But in addition to manual applications to clear off open AR invoices with a credit card or with an ACH, we also have a complete reminder system for collections where we can email your customers automatically an email that lets them know that invoices are coming due and that payment is needed. So we set up these processes, these batch reports that read your data, read what invoices are open, read what customers you've set to be reminded. And based on that, it sends an email automatically to the customer that will look something like this, where we are letting them know that they have some invoices coming due. Basically, this message, you decide what you want to let them know. You would put your logo, your colors. We would brand this to your specifications, and you can let them know that, hey, there's some invoices that are coming due or already past due, and we'd like for you to go ahead and make payment. This lets them know the number of invoices, the amount totaling, and then when they're ready on their phone or on their desktop, they would again click the Pay Now button, which drives them to the payment portal that would be again branded with your logo and colors and your font style so that it matches up to your look and feel. But it's here where they can see what invoices are about to be due or are coming due, and they can go ahead and select those invoices for payment and process a payment against those invoices. So depending on the payment options that you want to allow your customers to have, either pay with a credit card, as I have here, or ACH transfer, if your customer, if you want to allow them to enter in their banking information and enter in their ACH information, or if you just want to allow them to pay only with credit card, they would go ahead and enter in that information. That would then go ahead and process a payment automatically against their credit card for the invoices totaling, in this example, 104.36. They put in their card number, their credit card expiration date, and again, their card security code. And just like we saw earlier, they can go ahead and save that for future use on file so that if they want to place orders, they don't have to go ahead and key in the credit card each time. So once I've done this, I go ahead and hit apply, which validates the information. And if everything is good, I, as the user, would go ahead and press process payment, which now charges my credit card and basically finalizes that process and provides me an confirmation on the screen. And in addition, provides me a confirmation email letting me know that a payment has been processed in the amount of 104.36, paying these invoices that you had open for these totals. So as you can see, very easy to use. We have a complete reminder system that you can configure within our collections management, letting customers know that invoices are coming due so that they can react to it and make payment ahead of the due date of that invoice. But in addition to a reminder system, we also have an auto pay system. And this is where you can work with your customers to provide maybe certain benefits if they enroll to auto pay, where you can set up auto pay rules that will automatically charge their credit card or their do an ACH transfer for any invoices that meet the rule. In this example, I've created a rule for this customer 55175, where 2 days prior to the invoice date, whenever that is, we will automatically charge, in this case, a credit card on file, tokenized, the amount of the invoices that are 2 days prior to that due date. And this will occur automatically. You don't need to worry about anything. You set up the rule, and the payments occur and auto apply against the invoices, and then you receive your monies from your merchant bank, or set up the rule and auto do an ACH transfer that does a complete ACH wire transfer from your customer's bank account to your bank account for those invoices that meet the rule that has been configured. So auto pay allows you to set up rules on a customer by customer basis, working with the customer to get those payments and those collections due and collected on a timely basis. That way you can set aside all of those worries about having to follow up. Obviously, a lot of our customers, what they do is they provide some additional benefit for setting up this rule, maybe a discount or a special pricing schedule so that they get some sort of a additional discount on their products or something along those lines, so that customers will be enticed to set up these rules and you can have your collections automated on a very timely basis and process those payments throughout. So that's another capability that you have. And then lastly, a lot of customers want to self-service themselves. They want to be able to go to the portal themselves and sign in and really manage all of this automatically. And this is, again, our customer electronic invoice presentment and payment portal. It would be branded to your logo, colors, font style, where a customer would have their account. They would go ahead and log in to their account and put in their credentials. And it's here where I, as a customer, can see all of the information related to my account, including I have a sort of a snapshot dashboard that I can see invoice history. I can see recent sales orders that may have been placed. I can see open invoices that I have to pay. I can see my credit card that are on file and tokenized, and I can see my account aging balance. All of this capability at my fingertips so that I can go through and make payment on invoice or schedule payments through the auto pay and scheduling system, so that all of this can be managed by me directly without having to call your customer service to set that up. Or if I just want to inquire on an order that was just placed, I can go and straight to that order information and see the details of that order information and see the information related to that order that has been placed. Or if I have information related to a payment, I can see what invoices are coming due and walk through the payment process all the way from selection of invoice all the way through to payment, so that I can make sure that I am on top of my account and validate all of my information, along with making timely payments either through an ACH or credit card or other forms of payment that we accept. All of this is a self-service portal that allows your customer base to manage their own account, view invoice history, view order history, all of that at their fingertips, so that they don't have to be calling in and getting information, including the download of physical PDFs and invoices. If you archive your PDFs within your JD Edwards solution, we can link to that so that the customer can self-service themselves and automatically download all of the PDFs themselves. Or if all they want to do is view information, come here and view information on a specific invoice and invoice details, so that they can validate all of the information. Or see maybe payment history to see if a check that they mailed or an ACH transfer that they did came through as expected and was applied to the right invoices and the right details. So this is a payment portal that your customers would have their own credentials to, where they can verify, validate, and maintain their accounts up to date. So as you can see, we have a lot of capabilities. We're now come to the top of the hour of our webinar. I want to thank everyone that attended today. And as I mentioned earlier, these are just some highlights of some of the capabilities. We have capabilities across all areas, managing refunds to credit cards, doing automated payments, collections, many other analysis reports, and so on that help your organization to stay on top of all of the collections. Thank you to everyone on the webinar. At this point, I'm going to stop presenting and transfer it back to Jerry for some closing comments.
Appreciate the transition, Diego. Yeah, I echo a lot of what you said, Diego. Thank you for everybody's timing here. We'll wrap up promptly here as we've hit our 3 o'clock limit. If you do want to see more on Smarter Commerce, don't hesitate on reaching out to us. For those that asked if the recording will be processed, you will be receiving a recording of this webinar in the next couple of days. And we can continue conversations at that point. Big thank you to everyone, and look forward to continuing the discussion. Take care and have a great day.